please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
On this episode of Mythbusters,
It's like a lovely ballet, isn't it?
Jamie and Adam whip it good.
Ow, 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 ow,
To test the myth that if a cable at high tension suddenly snaps,
right through his body, through it.
it can slice a person clean in two.
I love hearing big sounds in the next room.
And meanwhile, Grant, Carrie, and Tori make beautiful music to find out if sound can be recorded onto pottery.
I know it would be like to be married to you.
And played back just like a record.
That's creepy sounding.
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Aren't tracer rounds illegal?
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about.
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
What could go wrong?
Carrie Byron,
We're going for total annihilation.
and Grant Imahara.
I'm flipping as fast as I can.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
All right, I'm going to perform this next myth in pantomime. What do you think?
Okay. We're talking about killer cable slice, I believe.
Exactly.
And this is when a cable under tension snaps and it cuts you in half.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, the theory is that if a cable is stretched taut, the tension can become so great that if it were to snap, it could cut a person in two. Not a pretty picture. Not pretty at all, as this footage filmed on the USS George Washington shows. A cable that was supposed to stop a jet broke and whipped across the deck. Luckily, one crew member had lightning-fast reflexes, but 5 others had no time to run. Dramatic proof of this real-life peril.
You know, I'm a little worried about this one. I'm not sure how easy it will be to get the cable to behave in a predictable fashion, like where it's going to go when you snap it.
Well, that sounds like a perfect opportunity for a bench test. We should do a scale model and see how we can make the cable snap predictably.
Well, also, actually, with that, we can figure out where the most dangerous place to be in there, like the kill zone.
Sure.
To set up the bench test, Jamie screws on clamps at either end of a table. Then he secures parachute cord from one end to the other and tightens it until it's stretched taut. Adam measures and marks out a scale model floor plan.
It's about 50 by 30, and it's gridded out in 1-foot marks so that I should be able to see where the cable is going for each of these tests.
Razor at the ready.
Yeah, that's sharp enough. High speeds ready? Okay, here we go. Test number 1, no obstructions.
The cord soars straight down the center line.
It makes all the sense in the world. You're tensioning it, and you release tension on one side. All the force in that cable wants to head towards the other anchor point.
He sounds like an expert now, but in a previous myth, they almost got a moving violation trying to bring a police car to a screeching halt by tying an anchored cable to its rear axle. Driving the car in a straight line broke the cable with ease, but this myth needs a little more direction.
So we need to deflect it.
We absolutely need to deflect it. Otherwise, there is no whip at all.
Yeah,
It just
there's no
goes
reason.
sook.
All the energy is going that way. Why would it?
Precisely. Stanchion moved closer to the cut point. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It's so fast. That's just beautiful.
Slap you in the face kind of thing.
I mean, that cable is just moving right towards this area, just like you'd imagine your worst case scenario would be.
Yeah.
So if they can get the cable to move like the cord is doing, what would happen to a person who is unlucky enough to get in the way? They place a bolt on the grid that will play the unfortunate human.
Okay, here we go.
The cord completely lassoes the bolt.
Dude,
It went all the way around.
that's beautiful.
That's like Indiana Jones with a whip.
Forget wimpy little string. The boys are ready to lash out with the might of steel.
When this myth first came to our attention on the internet, scientists were playing back sounds inadvertently recorded onto ancient pottery.
So somehow, in the mists of time, there was the perfect scenario in which a pot was turning on a wheel and something like straw or anything brushing up against that pot acted as a stylus. And their voice, their laughter, the vibrations from sound actually recorded inadvertently into the clay.
Sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it?
Sure does. The theory is in ancient times, a potter was working away when there was a noise close by. The force of the sound waves made an imprint like record grooves in the fresh clay. Fast forward to today, and we can play back these sounds from the past using modern technology. First stop is the lair of mega sound system creator Alexander Yule Thornton II, but you can call him Thorny for short.
It was given to me in my teens, and I kind of liked it, so I kept it.
Every conceivable kind of recording device, spare part, and cool little toy imaginable is hidden somewhere on Thorny's shelves.
Barbie steam engine.
No, it's a G.I. Joe steam engine.
So what's this expert audiophile's opinion about pottery recording?
I think there's no question that you could do it.
So recording an audio signal in a piece of pottery.
Sure.
And playing it back.
Yes.
We just have to prove that it's remotely possible.
I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
Thorny just happens to have a device on hand that will prove his point. A phonographic dictation machine from the 1930s that was invented by Thomas Edison.
Warning, warning, dive, dive, dive.
The way the dictation machine worked could be very similar to how it might be possible to record and play back sound from a clay pot.
Coming up next on Mythbusters, can you get audio off of an old pot?
The vibrations from Grant's voice travel down the horn and cause a cutting stylus to make a series of grooves in the wax.
You can see the little sort of ruffles in the surface. That is the information as cut.
So back in the day, this would be like high-tech.
Oh, yeah.
To play it back, they simply run a non-cutting stylus back over the grooves.
Coming up next on Mythbusters, can you get audio off an old pot?
All right.
It's a voice writer.
That is great.
With all of Thorny's knowledge at their disposal, the most burning question Grant has is...
Does my voice really sound like that?
Yeah.
Well,
You guys
So it doesn't record all of the low pitches.
Maybe we should try that recording again.
The team thanks Thorny for his sound insight.
And with a shop like this, I have a feeling we might be contacting you again for something else buried in here.
feel free.
Later.
Would a snapping cable slice you right in half? These pigs are going to help us figure it out.
But next, Tori peels out behind the wheel.
Isn't there a faster speed on this thing?
There's high tension all around us. Cables are mighty useful, so there's no escaping them. But if they snap, can they cut you in two? Sounds like just the job for the Mythbusters.
Well, we've got some safety concerns first off before we start actually, snapping cables. And I figure that means that we should get some kind of interior space inside a building so we can control it. Maybe we can be outside.
Very separated. Yeah, this thing's going to be dangerous as hell.
The plan is to rig a series of chains and pulleys around a support column, attach a cable to it, and stretch it all the way over to another support column and position an obstruction between them. Then, using a hydraulic pump, pull the cable so tight it snaps, and see if it slices their human stand-in half. Jamie goes shopping to get some heaving hardware.
Hey, Andy.
Hi, Jamie.
Glad to meet
Welcome.
you.
Welcome to CH Bull.
Well, thank you. So I've got a project that I need your help on.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a situation where a cable is under tension and it snaps and it cuts somebody in half?
I've heard it more with nylon rope, but I've heard it with cable as well. There's a lot more elasticity in a nylon rope. There could be a lot more stretching, which would be a lot more recoil.
Well, that's what I figured too. We'll have to test a variety of thicknesses of cable as well as some different types of rope even.
To pull the cable or rope taut, Andy shows Jamie a hydraulic cylinder that can pull cables. It's the kind of gadget that gets Jamie all animated.
Oh, yeah. 30 tons. It's
30 tons, and I think we're a little over 5 inches of stroke. Well,
As for a device that will actually slice through the cable, Andy has a safety-minded suggestion.
what's nice about this is it's easy to have a remote setting, set this right in the middle of the cable, and so as you start to cut from a safe distance away, as that cable breaks, this would be the ideal way to go.
Well, that's perfect.
Jamie leaves with his slice and dice goodies. Meanwhile, Adam goes to market to get their target.
Killer cable snap is not at all a story we can test with Buster. He is good for the falling, the banging, the kind of rough damage assessments. This is a case where we want to find out if a cable can slice a human being in half. We need a much better human analog. Keith, how you doing?
It's a meet and greet with manager Keith.
You got some pigs for us?
Oh, yeah. Some big ones.
Really?
Yes.
How much do they weigh?
150 pounds average.
That's actually perfect. So let's go see him.
You need this first.
Oh, great. The fashion statement.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. There we go. Oh, my God.
Even though they're not alive, seeing the dead pigs hanging from horror movie-sized hooks makes this bacon lover almost lose his breakfast.
This is going to be hard even for me. I'm not going to have a ham sandwich for lunch today.
I probably won't either, actually.
But Adam manages not to hurl and takes the pigs back to M5.
Did you stop some traffic with this lot? Or
No, I got a couple of looks, but I got looks like this. People driving by, they saw the pigs, and then they looked in the cab, and they're like, oh, it's the Mythbuster guy.
While they wait to be whooped, the pigs chill out. The theory of archaeoacoustics, that ancient pottery has sounds trapped inside from the exact moment it was being made, could be out there.
Christ's words, the actual incantation to raise the dead, were recorded in the clay grooves of the pottery, just like the way music is recorded into vinyl.
I'll have Chuck Burks meet you over at my office, see if this clay has Christ's greatest hits on it.
To recreate a likely ancient scenario, they'll make a drum, then rest a stylus on top of it that's touching a wet clay pot spinning on a wheel. Next, they'll make some noise and see if the straw stylus etches the sound into the clay. Following in the footsteps of ancient man, Tori and Carrie are going to get primal and make some pots from scratch.
Is it that messy that we need to lay down plastic?
The raw smell of the wet earth combined with the romance of the creative process seems to be having a strange effect on Tori.
You saw that movie Ghost.
I did.
Remember that scene? Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore.
Yep.
Good scene.
Luckily, Carrie has met her share of artistic types with unoriginal designs.
Need some help?
Back off, Belici. It's off center, it makes it lopsided.
Carrie soon learns that shaping a simple pot isn't easy.
This is going to be the worst pot ever.
Oh, looks great.
Yeah.
But eventually she centers herself and the clay, molding and shaping it.
She makes a love to the clay with the heart.
And the result is a shining example of symmetry. Nice job, Carrie.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, looks fun.
Now it's Tori's turn to take a seat behind the pottery wheel. He slams it into high gear straight away. Talk about a lead foot.
Isn't there a faster speed on this thing?
You might be going a little fast, Tori.
Nah, it's not going fast enough. I think I need to hook this up to an engine.
Pretty sure the keys go slow.
Really? It's more fun to go fast.
Tori, it might be a good idea to ease off on the gas a little.
But you're the boss. The clay's not the boss.
Well, apparently the clay's making all the decisions right now.
The result of Tori's passionate artistic expression is less than impressive.
Oh, it looks good. It's so cute. Look at that little tiny thing.
Not something a guy ever wants to hear, but Tori seems proud nevertheless.
It looks great.
It's my first one ever.
Later, things heat up when Jamie and Adam fling cable.
Did you see the sparks off the barrel?
But next, the team has a scream.
You crazy killer!
Can cables at high tension be trusted? Jets on aircraft carriers rely on cables big time to put the brakes on. But watch your back. This footage, shot on the USS George Washington, is proof they can go AWOL at any time. But can a cable slice you in two? To test this myth, Jamie and Adam need to move somewhere nice and quiet where they can really stretch out.
Oh, hurry up.
This should do nicely. The perfect little hideaway in the middle of nowhere. A former workshop on an abandoned military base.
So the metal grid there is what you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
They can't wait to move in and are full of decorating ideas.
That's a fine hook to hang a pig on right there. We've got big steel beams to anchor our cables and cable pullers to. We've got a welding grid to put down our bollards and hang our pigs over, and lots of beams in the ceiling. It is ideal.
To start with, they're going to build their cable rig.
So you're the ghost of Christmas past, is that it?
Our two anchor points are going to be these big pillars, and we'll put big chains around these things, shackles, all this hardware and stuff to make a nice, solid attachment point. Everything that we do will be based on those two pull points.
From their bench tests, they learned that placing an object in the path of the cord as it snapped back caused it to curve around in a nice slicing arc. So they weld a large metal tank to the floor.
We need something to anchor to the ground to make the cable snap to one side and do what we want.
Well, that's a cigar cutter from hell.
Now to check the bite power of their cutter.
It's nail
Jaws of
clipper.
They power it up.
Oh!
and it cuts the steel like it's a piece of string.
Damn, brother.
Their first test is going to be with rope.
Ow, 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 ow.
Jamie ties the rope to the rigging, then they crank it until it's nice and tight and position it over the bollard.
I hope we didn't weaken it right there.
Time to truck in their victim.
This is our first test subject. This is horrible.
They raise Piggy up on a hook.
They don't smell as pristine as they did the other day.
And Adam gives him a reassuring pep talk.
When the rope breaks, I want it to come whipping around here. And truthfully, I want it to slice right through your hide.
Due to the danger factor, our Mythbusters insurance company insisted the entire test has to be executed and filmed using remote equipment.
When we snap these cables, they are going to be, 50-foot cable is going to swing possibly in a 50-foot arc and slice not only our pigs, but potentially Jamie or I or a crew member in half. So in order to do this experiment, we need to be completely separated from it.
The rope is too elastic for the hydraulic tensioner to pull tight enough, so they're going to heave it with a little something else. Adam's so excited to be driving one of his favorite forms of transportation, he does 360s of joy in the parking lot.
It's like a lovely ballet, isn't it?
The forklift is attached to the rope with a long pulley system of lines that stretch all the way outside. The last touch is to place the cutter on the rope, and they're ready to slice some ham.
Cool, let's roll.
The team has been stepping back in time to dig up and dust off the myth of archaeoacoustics. That ancient pottery contains sounds from the past that can be tapped into. To recreate a very possible archaeoacoustic scenario straight out of a Pompeian potter's studio, they put their freshly made, unfired pot on the wheel and stand the drum next to it. On top of the drum, they place the stylus, a piece of straw.
All right, ready?
In 3, 2, 1.
Pottery record! I see little frequencies.
They look for a sign in the line that Tori's magnificent tenor-like tone has left an imprint.
Definitely, look at this.
Yeah, I can see it. It's actually all through here. It looks almost like a braid.
Has Tori's voice been stamped into the surface? Then Carrie steps up to the mic.
Pottery record!
The girl's got some pipes.
Oh, I can see little zigzaggies. I can see it. It's really, really fine, but it's there.
The zigzag patterns on the clay could be sound imprints, but they won't be able to test their pots until they're completely dry.
If we tried to extract anything off of them right now, we'd probably end up destroying the groove because it's too soft.
So the Pompeii scenario pottery recording seems to be going pretty well. What's next?
Well, there was another version of this myth that appeared on one of those forensic TV shows recently. And, same idea with the pottery on the pottery wheel, but instead of the drum, they just had kind of a brush going along. But they were able to extract audio off of it and get some clue that helped them solve the case.
To test the freaky forensic show scenario, the team will spin an unfired clay pot on a wheel. And as it turns, they'll hold a brush against it and make a noise. This time, the drum won't be there to help. So to get the sound to stamp onto the clay, it's all down to the stylus. Potters often use straw as a finishing tool. So Grant cuts up long pieces from a broom.
The longer the straw is, the better chance it'll have of vibrating and then maybe making an impression on the pot.
Grant secures his straw brush to a metal stand next to the pottery wheel.
Oh, no, you're going to win first place in the fair. Maybe second place.
And Carrie says what all forensic investigators wish they could.
You crazy killer! Yeah?
I didn't realize you were going to do it that loud.
I'm trying to get a good chance.
To make my left ear go deaf.
Okay.
I think you got it.
Carrie releases her inner pain.
Tori!
You got some grooves.
Is it deep enough? Any one of those grooves could capture that information.
There are definitely some mystery cuts and nicks on the clay. But were they caused from sound vibrations? Or was it just the force of Carrie's breath that moved the straw? Tori has an idea to reduce the chance of any falsetto markings.
You know how when they record music, they have the little windscreen? It's like a piece of pantyhose that just goes over, and that keeps it from the wind hitting the element.
You want to make one?
Yeah.
Do you have your pantyhose here?
I'm wearing them. I
in
can take them off.
Get the spare pair in your toolbox.
A windscreen should help block Carrie's breath.
Got your pop screen all ready?
Yep.
Okay.
A quick vocal warm-up, and the voice of an angel rings out.
Tori!
Or maybe make that the devil.
That was a good one, Carrie. Now I know what it would be like to be married to you.
But they got their best clear marking on the clay yet.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
The forensic pottery sessions were a hit.
They go double porcelain.
Still to come, the team hears strange voices.
That's creepy sounding.
But next, Jamie and Adam finally get to lash out.
That sounded more like it.
Please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
Newsflash, a snapping cable can cut you in two. Or that's the myth, and Jamie and Adam are about to find out. For their first test, they're going to start with rope. Adam moves the forklift forward, and little by little, the rope inside tightens.
1,000.
The pressure rises.
2,000. Okay, it's at 3,000.
And Jamie activates the cutter.
How did that work? It seemed good?
I just left this thing, all the valves open, and turned on the pump.
Okay.
And it just immediately went.
Excellent.
So it was right at 3,500.
Shall we go in and take a look?
I think so. Well, it kind of looks like it made contact with the pig.
From examining the pig's hide, it looks like the first cut isn't always the deepest. Sometimes all you get is rope burn.
It doesn't look like it did any real damage. Damage sustained by pig? Nothing. Don't get me wrong. If you were standing here, you might be in a lot of pain at this point, but you would not be in two halves.
They check the high-speed camera footage to see how the rope flew when it snapped.
Yeah, it just wrapped around it. And again, looking at that shot, I'm thinking the pig wants to be close to the real ripping point.
The guys move the pig closer to where the point of impact should be.
What we want to get is the pig right at the end point of the whip, the three-quarter point, where the centrifugal force is the greatest and where presumably the speed would be the highest.
They get a new section of rope, stretch it out, and try again. Jamie does the count.
2,000.
And Adam pulls the rope.
3, 2, 1. That sounded more like it.
That sounded like a gunshot.
3,000 pounds on the nose.
And you pulled the trigger.
Yep, I got it right. It sounded like a whip crack.
So how's the hog looking?
Always like Christmas, finding out if actual science occurred. Hey, dude, there's some visible damage here.
Does the mark go all the way around or just right there?
Nope, there's a little bit of a mark over here.
Even though the rope was traveling at 227 miles per hour and they got their first real solid whipping action, again, it didn't even cut through the pig's skin.
We got a real strike from the rope test, and it seems to have left one heck of a nasty rope burn on our test subject here. It would not be pleasant. However, I don't think that it would have killed a person.
Time to move on to something with teeth.
It's not got enough beef to it. Or should I say pork?
It's time to fire your rider.
Sit back, relax, and hum along to the theory of archaeoacoustics, that you can record and listen to sounds on pottery just like your favorite piece of vinyl.
I teased out something very fabulous from your pottery there.
In the lab over at X-Files, they used an extraordinary sound extraction laser device to pull out an ancient insult.
What is it?
It's Aramaic.
That's the language of Crespo.
It literally says, I am the bearded cow-like sea beast.
In the real world, a laser would pick up every speck of dust and dirt on a clay pot. So Grant is designing a playback system using old turntables that's more retro, but also more reliable.
This is a technique that was pioneered in the late 60s. Basically what it consists of is the tone arm from a record player, and you connect that to an amplifier. It's better to use some type of physical stylus that contacts the medium to get the best audio quality.
First, he removes the arm off one of the turntables. Then he needs to make a new stylus because the one that came with the record player is too sharp to put onto clay.
The cartridge that I've taken off of the record player has a little needle on it. But if we drag that needle across any pottery, it's probably going to destroy that. There's a way around that, and that is to make a glass stylus. Must be the reinforced glasses.
Yeah, whatever. Muscles. Finally, Grant manages to break the reinforced glass and melts a broken piece with a blowtorch.
Hey, you're making a little swan. You're like a little glass sculptor.
You want me to add to your collection? A poodle this time? All you really have to do is heat the glass until it's soluble, and you pull it out in a very thin string. Once that cools, you can break it off and you have a perfect thread of glass. Heat it up and make a little ball in the end, and you glue it right onto your record player stylus.
By attaching the glass stylus to the arm and hooking up an amplifier,
that's the sound of my fingerprint.
DJ BC is into house and ready to rock some pots.
All right. Now all we need are some pots with some sounds on them.
After the break, the team spins right round like a record.
I think it said Armageddon is in 3 days.
And coming right up, Jamie and Adam make some noise.
I love hearing big sounds in the next room. Well, the myth we're testing, in case you haven't been paying attention, is whether or not a cable under an extreme amount of tension can break, and when it snaps after it breaks, that whipping cable can slice you in half.
Cable comes in different sizes and strengths, so for their first test, they're starting on the thin side. The less the surface area, maybe the greater the cutting action.
This time we're using 3/8 cable. Having something like this would be something like a guy wire for a radio tower or possibly even some kind of hoisting operation.
Everyone except Adam exits the building. Slowly and very carefully, he pulls out the slack in the line, then hightails it outside.
I pulled the limit of what the fork can pull. About 9 inches, so let's go for broke.
All right.
They put the hydraulic pump into gear.
There you go.
All right, cutting 3/8 cable in 3, 2, 1. I love hearing big sounds in the next room. Wow, I mean, it looks like it couldn't have been more successful.
He took quite a hit.
Did you see the sparks off the barrel?
That ought to tell you something.
No one can fault us for not giving it the right amount of force, tension, and smacking.
That'd be brutal. Make your heart stop.
But the 3/8 cable still didn't cut it.
This was perfect for cutting in half if it was gonna, and it didn't. 3/8 cable is done as far as I'm concerned.
It's probably time to bump up to a bigger gauge.
Okay.
Bigger is sometimes better, so the guys reel out 5/8 cable that has a mighty breaking strength of 40,000 pounds.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this stuff when it snapped.
No, this is going to be a bit of a different beast.
The hydraulic puller puts 30,000 pounds of pressure on the cable, and it's time to unleash this monster.
Okay, ready?
Cutting 5/8 cable. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh. That kind of wound you up, didn't it?
Wow.
They go inside to inspect the whack factor.
Pig's still in one piece, but it went a little further, didn't it?
He went a lot further.
The pig took a massive hit, but he's still not cut in half.
Dude, that is so...
It was a good hit.
Brutal. I don't reckon that there's any other hit we could have gone for that would do any better than that.
We were pulling 30,000 pounds or more on it when we cut it. And 30,000 pounds, I mean, that's like 10 cars or so of energy that's getting let go, bang, like a shot of a gun.
Looks like the killer cable myth isn't such a snap after all. Back at Base BC, the team have dug up a theory that's been buried in the sands of time, that ancient pottery can contain sounds from the past.
You crazy killer!
Attempting to record onto clay, they think they might have got some sound to embed onto pottery. Now, to try and play it back.
There's one primary piece of scientific evidence that does support this myth.
Yeah, in 1969, there was a letter published in the Proceedings of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, of which I am a member, where they claim to be able to record and play back the sounds of a potter's wheel in a piece of pottery.
To listen, they place the now-fired Pompeii pot onto the pottery wheel and spin it like a record on a turntable. Then they put Grant's glass stylus in a groove and are all ears. As the pot rotates, they can clearly hear the stylus scraping as it moves over the surface of the clay, but nothing else.
Go to this one, because this is a good groove here.
Grant finds another groove to trace further down the pot.
What? That's creepy sounding. What is that voice?
As Grant puts the glass stylus onto this pottery, you can hear almost a ghostly voice.
I'm hearing something. That was like some crazy voice from beyond.
They slow down the speed of the wheel. They might hear the whoop whoop more clearly.
It sounds like some demon-possessed
I had to
thing.
stop. I had to stop, okay.
It's giving me chills.
Putting their Pompeii pot aside for now, they're ready to test their forensic TV show pot, where they used a brush stylus and no drum. Again, the team places the stylus on a groove in the pot and listens closely. But it's hard to make out if it's anything more than just static.
There's one area where I hear sort of a, but it's really faint, and I don't know if I'm making it up in my head.
Huh, probably won't ever be a hit carry, but it's given our trio hope. Coming right up, the team may have spun a hit.
This is phenomenal, phenomenal.
And Piggy goes all the way home.
Pork salad.
Wow.
Go to this one.
Listening to their pottery records, the team heard some mysterious sounds. But it was hard to tell if it was a human voice.
What?
So they're off to a professional sound studio to get this myth cleared up.
I feel like we're doing a drop-off or something.
Yeah.
So now that we've gotten all of our ghost sounds off of our pots and recorded them onto tapes, we've come down to a little place called Denoise. They're hopefully going to do that forensic show thing where they clear up all the background and you get some sort of discernible words off of this audio track. Hello.
Meet super sound guy Albert.
Do you have any sort of laser system that, we could bounce a Doppler laser off our pottery and capture audio off of that?
I don't have a laser system, but I have very good restoration tools. So what we have on this tape, I will be able to hear.
Albert cues up a track from their Pompeii pot, where the team thought they got their best possible sound imprint.
I will try to use different tools to increase the sound, to reduce the noise.
He filters out the snap, crackle, and pop.
Oh my God. I'm getting excited. Our good pot might actually have something.
Yeah.
Our trio is full of anticipation. Will Albert be able to lift off any comprehensible words so we can share their excitement?
I had some fairly high hopes because we did have something that sounds like an audio signal on our pot.
Everyone is all ears.
I hear something, but there is so much noise in the middle. No pottery record.
Oh!
An unexplained squeak? Yes. But an easily distinguishable human voice? No.
The best we got today was a squeak. And at most, it's not like you get pottery record. All we heard was...
Looks like their pottery record won't ever make the Archaeoacoustic Hot 100. Sorry, kids. Them's the breaks.
So you mean everything we see on TV isn't real?
I'm afraid so, Tori.
So what's Albert's take on the myth?
You can imagine that you can record almost anything on a media that's hard enough to keep the groove, okay? Not on butter, but on anything else like plastic or wax. But if you do it intentionally, if not, it will be only noise.
Seems as a recording medium, clay just doesn't cut it.
What's your gut feeling?
No recording.
As a Frenchman and a sound engineer?
No, pas possible.
Pas possible.
Pas possible.
Playing Piggy in the middle hasn't been a whole lot of fun for Adam and Jamie.
He took quite a hit, but you know what? It doesn't look like it cut him.
So far, trying to snap a dead pig in two with a whipping cable, Porky has emerged victorious and still intact every time.
I can help. This is one way to cut a pig in half. These results, they're not only counterintuitive to what I thought was possible, but they're really frustrating. So I had a research team call pretty much every national, federal, military safety organization that they could get on the phone to ask for evidence of this myth. And while there's tons of anecdotal evidence, and there's not a fisherman alive who doesn't think this myth is true, we could not locate a single definitive confirmed case of someone being sliced in half by a cable.
Well, the myth says that the cable will slice you in half like a hot knife through butter.
Well, there are plenty of recorded fatalities, and we showed that a snapping cable can kill you.
Well, you know what happens now?
Yes, I do.
We've got to get back down there and find out what it'll take to actually cut one of those pigs in half with a cable.
Exactly.
For their next attempt, they hog-tie Adam's nemesis. This time, the idea is to combine the best of both worlds, from thick and thin cable, mass and cutting action, by attaching a piece of 3/16 cable to the end of the monster line.
We're hoping that this little whip gets such high speed from its instantaneous yank from the big cable, and it'll cut the pig.
Pressurizing the cable. 5/8 cable with a 3/16 whip.
The tension builds. But will they get their release?
Okay, cutting the cable in 3, 2, 1.
Made a good loud sound.
Damn.
It sounded satisfying, but the pig was faking.
No dice, no slice. The myth's not looking good at this point.
No, we're not getting anywhere near the carnage we thought we'd be able to get.
The stress of no success is making Adam a little loopy.
This time, we're actually going to attach a loop of 3/16 cable to the 5/8 around the pig, anchored to the grid. You see what I'm talking about? You see what we're doing? I think we're good to go, man. We got the loop, everything's tied down.
If he doesn't get a result this time, please don't hold me responsible for his actions.
Final death loop. Oh, please, please, let there be a pig cut in half in there. That's it? He's not cut in half at all.
Sorry, Adam. The hog is still whole.
Let's go get a sword.
A meat cleaver.
If anything is about to snap, it's Adam.
That's all we can do, right?
Jamie, never say that to a man whose eyes are glazed over.
Well, look, I'm just going to go back to the forklift and pull back the forks until that cable goes through his midsection.
Okay.
Warning, if you're a sensitive soul, now is the time to avert your eyes. Things are about to get a little disturbing.
All right. All right, I'm good to go.
Like a man possessed, Adam floors the forklift and proves pigs really can fly.
There we go.
Hey! Woo! Oh, man. It smells even worse now.
Pork salad.
Let's get her into the truck. I'll take the top half. I'll split the duty. I have to say, we're asked a lot if we were surprised by the results. This one was perhaps the most surprising thing we've ever done to me. I was completely convinced at the beginning of this testing that we would be able to slice up one of those pigs with one of those cables under tension, like 20,000, 30,000 pounds of pressure. I just thought it was completely going to happen. And halfway through, when I saw what was happening, I was like, you know what? I don't think this is possible. And it was absolutely right.
Nope. It'll kill you, but it won't slice you in half.
Amazing.
Busted.
Totally busted.